Hi guys, how you going? Welcome to the channel. So in today's video we're going to be talking about my new STARLINK Mini and in particular various different mounting solutions. I'm going to go through a bit of a checklist and tell you why I picked the one I've picked for today's video. Yeah, so let's get started. Alright, so what I did was I trolled the internet for high and low looking at all the various different solutions. I wanted something in particular that was going to suit the setup of my four-wheel drive. I've got a Mitsubishi Pajero. The selection I ended up making will suit any vehicle, any car, generally four-wheel drive, caravan, RV, you name it. There should be some sort of way that you could make this work. Now, so what I did was I asked myself a lot of questions in the process that helped me make this decision. So the checklist I ended up putting together was as follows. So one of the main important things for me was that it had to be very much light and compact. I didn't want anything bulky or heavy in any way, shape or form. Maintaining and minimizing weight in my car, in my four-wheel drive for my setup, very important. And I need to be mindful because I keep adding more and more gear to the car. So lightweight and compact had to be a priority. Now, the other thing was, which was very important to me, was that it had to be roof mountable, but also very easy to take off. I didn't want to be undoing bolts, tightening up bolts, getting the STARLINK and putting it into some sort of unit and then clamping that all down and putting it together. And then when I was finished with it, unbolting it all, putting it away. I wanted something where I could fit the STARLINK Mini unit to it, and basically I would never have to unbolt it again. And also the unit would be able to be taken out of the car, quickly just popped onto the roof, and then if I stopped at the shops or whatever and I didn't want to leave it on the car just in case it got pinched, I could quickly just grab it, take it off and put it in the vehicle. So I had to tick that box as well. And then one of the big things being here out in Australia was that it had to be able to stand up to the Australian conditions. And I dare say, if anything can stand up to the Australian conditions, it should be definitely viable for pretty much anywhere in the world. And the big things for me was that it had to be fine to be mounted onto the roof rack or on the roof of the vehicle. It had to be able to take speeds of in excess of 110 kilometers per hour. And it had to be able to obviously take the impacts of the high winds. And it had to, in particular, I do a lot of four-wheel driving, touring, and with a lot of the touring, I come across hundreds, if not thousands of kilometers of corrugated roads, and it had to be able to take the impact of these corrugated roads, because, I mean, if anything, I mean, corrugated roads are destroyers of cars and four-wheel drives, so let alone this delicate STARLINK dish. It had to be able to take that sort of punishment, basically. Ended up looking to a lot of the feedback from people who had already purchased the unit. I reached out to the company as well and asked them specific questions in relation to this also. And then the other thing also was that when the unit was removed from the vehicle, I wanted it to be easily tripod mountable. So often when I get out to camp, I basically get my STARLINK Mini and I'll pop it out on the tripod, because often I'll park the car in shade under tree cover, and then therefore there's lots of obstructions above the dish, so you don't necessarily want to leave the dish mounted to the vehicle. So you want to be able to easily pop it off. I pop it onto my tripod. It's already got the tripod mount fixed into the actual STARLINK Mini itself, so there's no need for me to plug this in or screw this in or anything. It's already there, so the dish has to be able to accommodate that, and then it also needs to be able to then pop on the tripod with no concerns whatsoever. Now, all of these little bits and pieces and the gear I use for STARLINK in particular, I'll pop up QR codes throughout the video, so you can basically, all the stuff I generally source from Amazon where I can. If it can't be sourced through Amazon, I'll pop the corresponding link via the QR code or also in the description as well. And then the other big thing for me too was I wanted to be able to mount a security tether to the unit. So obviously with the unit being easily able to come on and off, we're going to be using neodymium magnets, but I also wanted the ability to be able to secure a tether to the unit as well for those just in case. And the unit I ended up finding actually ended up having a couple of additional features which I hadn't even thought of. So you'll see by the end of the video, when you get to the end, you'll find out about these additional features, and again, they're game changers as well. Some items that I didn't even think I needed, but this particular unit comes with it. All right guys, so let's have a look at the unit. So this is it, and again, this is made by Dishy. So I'll pop the link up on the screen. Yeah, so there are a few of these on the market. This basically ticked every box that I asked for, and in addition, it actually ended up ticking a few additional boxes. So what I'll do now is I'll quickly go through some of the specs and features of the unit for those that want that sort of detail. All right, so in particular, when we're talking about the construction of the unit, so we've got basically an aluminium base, which helps keep the weight of the unit light, but it is extremely rigid and strong. So with that, this allows it to be able to dissipate heat quite quickly. The way it's designed also in relation to airflow, it's not going to be an issue there. And the way it's designed with the hull as well, I dare say it's not going to become like a sail or a wing and cause that sort of that upward pressure. And that's really important, that combination of things basically in relation to trying to keep the unit as cool as possible, because thermal cuts in around that 50 to 55 degree mark. So, and as the unit's in the sun all the time, and especially in Australian conditions, it can get quite hot, especially out Central Australia. And later on in the year, we've got a big trip planned out for 2 or 3 weeks out Central Australia, and I'll be doing some real extensive testing of this in particular out in the deserts, the Simpson Desert out in Australia. So that'll be a big test. Now the unit itself weighs 1.3 kilograms. The dimensions of it are basically 300 wide by 350 long, and it's about 70 mil deep. These are all in millimeters. So, and then with the handle itself also, if you actually wanted to remove the handle, it basically takes it from 350 down to about 310. So if those dimensions are important to you. You've also got these 4 legs, okay? These 4 feet, they're neodymium magnets, which each individual one has 18 kilos of pull force. So that's 72 kilos in particular. And you'll see when I pop it up on the roof, like when it's on the roof, it is quite difficult to get it off. So there's a bit of a technique to it. I was a little bit skeptical in relation to the magnets and whether or not they would actually work. And look, they work pretty damn well. Now, the other big thing on the unit itself is obviously all of these parts. Now, all of these parts are all 3D printed. Now, I asked specifically, and I'll pop up on the screen the response I got. I asked the question in relation to what was the type of the filament used and why. So Paul put together quite a detailed explanation. So you can pause this on the screen and he'll explain it in quite a bit of detail. So, and in particular, I suppose the key things are that the filament that was used, which is called ASA, it's UV resistant. And basically it needs to get up to about 110 degrees Celsius before it starts to deform. I don't think there's many conditions anywhere in the world where that's going to be an issue. So, and in particular too, the way the unit's been designed in relation to the way it's mounted, and I'll show you how that all comes together. It's very, very specific. So the unit clamps into it very, very tightly. All the nuts and bolts are all stainless steel. All the feet with the neodymium magnets are all got a rubber protective cover. It should, I wouldn't say a guarantee not scratching your vehicle, but as long as you make sure that the surface that you're adhering it to is super clean, make sure the feet are clean, and therefore you really shouldn't have any issue. Now, in particular, I had a look at actually popping this on the bonnet of my vehicle, but obviously the panels on my car are not basically magnetic, so it would not stick. So that's something you need to keep in mind. If you're buying this to stick it on your car somewhere, or your caravan or RV, make sure that the metallic surface is attracted to magnets. So yeah. Now, one of the other things that you'll notice too is these are all got Allen key fittings. It actually comes with the Allen key in the unit. Okay, convenient. And then there's also a series of holes, additional holes. So I'm going to be using these additional holes, or even around here, to secure a tether to my roof rack, just in case for whatever reason it does come off, just that little bit of extra safety. But the holes that are placed on it, so that these holes in particular are 232 millimeters apart, and they're compatible with the Rhino Rack Platform 6 roof racks, just as a bit of an FYI. Okay, if you do that, I've just got a King's flat steel roof rack, and in particular I've got a portion of the roof rack which has a flat platform on it made out of steel, so this basically mounts to it perfectly. All right guys, so some of the other questions were basically in relation to once this is basically secured to your vehicle with the magnetic feet, has there been any issues or concerns in relation to basically using it or it coming loose at high speeds? So, and again, I checked out all the various different reviews, I checked out the forum, I had a bit of a chat also to Paul. The general consensus was that there hasn't been anyone that's come forward with any concerns. Obviously for us, speed wise, again, most of our roads here probably max out at about 110. I believe there are some sort of out Central Australia where you may be able to go faster, up 120, 130. There have been no concerns flagged at all. Now all the hole sizes are all M6 bolts, just so you're aware. And then with the feet themselves, the way he's designed it so these can easily come off. So you simply twist that, okay? And then the nuts are actually attached there, and then the feet can come off. Nice and simple. All right. But otherwise, all of the nuts for the main mounting for all of these stainless steel bolts, they're all lock nuts, okay? I noticed these ones in particular were not though, all right, but that should not be a concern. All right, but that was nice and simple. So even if you didn't want to use the feet and you actually did want to bolt it down permanently, these come off, as you can see, they come off very, very easily, and then you can permanently mount it to your roof rack if that's your desire. But I like the mobile aspect of it. All right guys, now I thought I'd just pop up some of the comments that I found on some of on the Facebook page. So there was one of the questions that was in relation to any issues coming loose or moving on corrugated roads at 110 kilometers per hour. And again, you can see the answers up on the screen, so there's been no issues there. And it's obviously been tested quite extensively. It's been on the market for a short period of time, but a lot of the people who have used it have been using it out on corrugated roads at speeds in excess of 110 kilometers per hour. So there's been no issues. So you can read those replies up on the screen. You can see my comments there in relation to, again, do they hold up at 110 kilometers per hour? Got a lot of customers out in the Northern Territory who can legally sit on 130 kilometers per hour and passing, you know, these massive road trains without any issues. So that's great to know. So there was a couple of comments I found in relation to it. So I've just popped up on the screen a few photos of people and how they've sort of secured it to their vehicles. Again, some have popped it on roof racks, some have just popped it straight to the roof of the vehicle. No concerns. You can see one of the guys there has popped a tether and attached it to the handle of the unit. So that's worked out really well. All right, so then in relation to the question about, you know, will it scratch the surface of the roof of the vehicle? So you can see there's some dialogue there. If you want to pause it, you can go through that. So as I explained before, I don't think it's really that much of a concern, as long as you're sensible with it. I'll pop it up on the tripod. The tripod mount, it's in exactly perfect position. It sits on the tripod perfectly. It adds a little bit of additional weight. So I just carry a really lightweight tripod. So, because I end up using this for backpacking as well. I always try to purchase things for multiple solutions, and the tripod for me had to be super, super light for when I take backpacking and hiking. All right guys, so that's enough talking about it. So what I'm going to do is we'll pop the unit in, I'll give you a look at it, and we'll see how easy it is and how snug it is, and then we'll have a quick look, and then we'll talk about those couple of bonus features. All right guys, so bonus feature number one. Okay, we'll pop this up here. So we have this little plastic thing here. When I first saw it, I thought, what the hell is this thing for? Obviously it's got a couple of screw mounts on it. I pulled it off to have a look, and this is what I found. So there you go. So there's a bit of a provision here for an Apple AirTag. So when you actually order the Dishy unit, because it doesn't just suit Apple AirTags, it also suits the Samsung Smart 2 tag and also the Tile Pro. So obviously the AirTags don't come with the unit, But this in particular, you need to make sure you order the one that you use. So for instance, I use Apple AirTags. So I'm going to pop my Apple AirTag in it, give you a quick look. So I've just got one on my keychain. So I'll pop that out of its little cover. We'll pop that in. And again, it's like a perfect snug fit. And there's that little finger pull there on the side to be able to sort of take the unit out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop that in there now. Pop it back on. It's like this. Alright guys, that's simple. So now you've got an Apple AirTag in there and no one's none the wiser. I mean, they might work it out eventually, but by the time they've taken the unit and taken it home or wherever, you're going to be able to trace where it's gone and, you know, let the police know or whatever. Again, I did not expect that, so that was fantastic. And the second bonus feature for me, obviously being based in Australia, was the fact that it was Australian made. So wherever possible, I always like to support local. Does anyone in any country. So, all right guys, so what we'll do now is we'll pop the STARLINK Mini into the mount. Now my STARLINK Mini, I actually have a silicone cover on it. Now, obviously this is designed specifically to just accommodate that. It will not accommodate this. You might be asking questions why he's got the cover on. Well, if you want any more information, there's a couple of videos on the channel. There's a short 2-minute one which sums it up, and there's a really in-depth one. But basically, the most pressing questions are, does it work or affect the performance with the cover? No. Does it increase the temperature? Negligible, a couple of degrees. But yeah, I think it's great. It's been fantastic for me, and it's helped protect the unit, because this unit is going everywhere. It's in the back of the car, it's in the front of the car, it's on the tripod. So I really want to protect it. And again, you drop this, you'll damage it really quickly. Any STARLINK stuff, I'll make sure I include QR codes or links in the description. And the vast majority of this stuff I try and source through Amazon. That way it ticks the boxes for everyone sort of all over the world. All right, so first up, again, we've taken our little Allen key out. We're just going to remove all of these. And again, like if you've got a power drill, they're super quick and easy to do once you get them taken out, the first little bit. Okay. So, and all of these nuts here are all stainless steel, so hopefully you shouldn't have any issues with rusting. And all of these ones in particular, you can't see, but buried inside the 3D printed stuff, the 3D printed mounts are actually lock nuts. So I don't think they'll come loose. At the end of the day, you can use a bit of Loctite if you like, and pop that in. So that'll just sort of give it its sort of, you know, final. I mean, if you put Loctite in, it's not going to be going nowhere. Again, and you get tiny little bottles of it. I tend not to use it much. All right, that's that. Just so I'll say you, I've got the tripod, or I've got the pipe mount in there, and in additional, I've got my tripod mount on there. If you want to find out some more stuff on that, go back to the channel and you can go into all the detail. But for me, that's a game changer. I just leave it in there permanently, and every time I want to use the tripod, it's just click, pop it straight back on. All right, so let's see if she fits. Oh, there you go, perfect. So if you have a look there, look, that lines up perfectly, that lines up perfectly. These aren't perfectly square. So this one is a little bit out. At the end of the day, the unit gets in there, don't worry about that. Let's screw her up. That feels super secure. There is no movement at all. And at the end of the day, it's that, look, it sits really snug in these four corners. Then plus you've got the top wood clamping pressures down. So yeah, so I've still got the tripod mount in there permanently. It fitted nicely over this screw, which was a little bit longer. I can see under here, it's not touching the STARLINK dish in any way. There's probably about maybe sort of an 8mm gap at its closest point. I don't know if you can see it. So the only points of contact, literally, are the top pieces here, okay? And then obviously underneath here on the sides, all right? So, brilliant. And also, obviously the little air tag, you know, where it's mounted, again, it's sort of hidden. Look, unless you knew what you were looking for, yeah, it can be unscrewed and taken out, no worries, but someone's going to be ripping this off and pinching it. I don't think they're going to be carrying around an Allen key to unscrew it all and get rid of it. At the end of the day, this comes tucked in with the unit, and you can pop that back in if you like. I don't think I would leave the Allen key in there, especially on the roof. It might vibrate loose anyway. I'm pretty impressed with that. Alright guys, so there you go. Now, again, having a close look at it, look, a couple of little slight imperfections in relation to these. Not exactly, these two are perfectly straight. This one, slight variation, no big deal. The only other observations for me was in relation to this was some of these sides were maybe a little bit rough in places. Again, not a deal breaker in any way, but that's all good. And one obvious thing which I just realised is it's not flat. And the reason is that obviously this mount can't stay in it because of the level of the legs, which again is no fault of the unit itself. It's the way it's been designed. That's it. Bit of technique. So I'll take that out. So all that means is straight from the roof, if I want to pop it on the tripod, I just click in place, so no big deal. Let's see if it works with this in place. There you go. Flip her over. Yep. So with that mount, no issues at all. So if you wanted to leave that in, and then when you take it out, you can also use the kickstand. Okay, all good. That's just how it looks. So it doesn't interfere with that at all. All right. Let's go pop it on the roof and let's go for a bit of a drive. The other thing I've got to work out too is just how I'm going to tether it. So my plan is to basically I'll just have something run over this, or I could potentially fix something to these points here and tether it. Might be actually something for Dishy if they want to come up with a tether for the system, or you know, potentially tethering off the handle. The handle looks pretty secure and solid. Alrighty, let's try it out. I've tried it moving the other day on the dashboard, and again, I don't recommend putting on the dashboard, but again, each to their own, whatever your solution is. I ended up, I actually bought this clamp off Abela. It's got a couple of suction cups, goes around the back, and it's supposed to stick to glass. Absolutely useless. Piece of rubbish. Again, you can get some decent stuff off Abela, but again, this is sort of throw in the bin sort of thing. So, all right, let's head up to the roof and I'll show you my setup there. All right, guys, so this is my setup on the roof. So I'll just drop this in place. Cable out of the way. We'll just line it up roughly. And that's it. Like, again, cable's just there for the moment. So that's a fair bit of force. Mate, that's not going anywhere. So it's a bit of a technique to get it off, but yeah, so that's brilliant. That's the next thing, is to find the solution. I mean, this just might just run straight in the door. This is a 3-metre cable. Again, I'll pop up the link for it, but I've been using this for some time now and it seems to work perfectly. Especially good because it's short, so you don't necessarily have to worry about voltage drop. I mean, I've got the full solar setup. I'll give you a quick look. So yeah, so this is my setup here. So you can see obviously where the Starlink's going to go. And then I've got the 200 watt King solar panel up here. And then you can sort of see my 270 awning off in the distance. Again, if you go to the channel, there's a whole heap of videos on the installation of the awning, setup of the solar and whatnot. But this is going to be absolutely perfect. And I'm fortunate with this roof rack, and again, this is a King's roof rack, that it's got this flat section where I can attach it to it. What I might do even, I might see if it'll actually fit in there underneath. At the end of the day, it can't go under the roof rack, but it can go in front of it. I mean, that might be a bit of interference, and there's a bit of curvature on the roof there, so yeah, I think I'll just stick to up here. I think that'll be absolutely perfect. Yeah, so all I've got to do is just sort out that cable. But as you can see, and even for airflow underneath the unit, I think that's going to be perfect. So, should hopefully keep it really cool. Yeah, looking pretty good. All right, let's sort out this cable. So what I might do is I might just simply pop it through here for the moment. Okay, that'll keep the cable nice and firm. All right guys, and I've got this U-green socket which has been working perfectly. So again, it's got 130 watt output. But in particular, it's got a power delivery 100 watt output, and it's got buck boost converters in it. So, and this is what's important. A lot of people don't realise people are hooking it up to cigarette lighters with a standard cigarette lighter just pumps out 12 volts. By the time that power gets to the end of this cable, it ain't 12 volts at 5 amps anymore. So this is where you need a booster, all right? And I'll pop a link up on the screen. This boosts 12 volts up to 20 volts at 5 amps, which gives the unit the 100 watts it needs. And the 100 watts is probably a little bit of overkill, but depending on the length of the cable and the conditions and so forth, it's best to have 100 watts. And you've got to make sure also that this cable can deliver 100 watts. All right. So, and again, there's a whole heap of videos on the channel, go check them out. I'll pop up a card. Let's pop that into the 100 watt socket. All right, and again, this is my laptop iPad setup. If you want to go check that out, go suss it out on the channel. Love it, absolutely love it. All right guys, so she's powered up. I think it's time to go for a bit of a drive now, and let's see when we come back if it's still there. I have all the confidence in the world that it will be. And again, obviously on bitumen roads and dirt roads and stuff like that, there'll be no issues whatsoever. Based on all the research, apparently corrugations and four-wheel driving, it's all good. So I'm pretty confident, but yeah, let's go for a drive. All right guys, we've been driving around for about half an hour now. Suburban streets, just on bitumen. I've taken it on the freeway. We've been driving at about 110 kilometers per hour. That's the maximum we can go here in Australia, locally on the freeways. And yeah, it's been flawless, no issues whatsoever. Again, the cable's just, again, closed into the door rubber, no dramas at all. I've been running a variety of different speed tests whilst I've been driving, and again, I'm getting anywhere from 50 megabits per second up to 220 megabits per second download. Again, the upload's always around that sort of, 10 to 15 sort of mark. And then also the connection between the device and Starlink, the Wi-Fi connection there, is perfect. Always upload speed super fast, download at about the 150 mark and upload at around the 300 mark. So yeah, works perfectly. The big challenge for me now will be testing it on corrugated roads, But again, all the feedback that has been out there has been, you know, no issues whatsoever. But now, if you'd like to get a bonus month subscription with Starlink, in the description I've got a referral code. So if you click on the referral code, basically you get a month free and I get a month free. So it's a win-win for all, it doesn't cost anyone anything. There's a few terms and conditions, it's only relevant for certain countries. So go check that out first, obviously, and if it ticks the boxes for you, then yeah, go for it. Alright guys, so that sort of sums up the new Dishy mount. So like I said, it ticks all the boxes for me. And then some additional, again, the bonus feature in relation to obviously the Apple AirTag and the fact that it's Australian made is a big plus as well. Really looking forward to putting it through its paces. I'm sure it will deliver. I'm going to head home now. If you like what you're seeing, give us a thumbs up. Any comments or questions, pop them down below. If you want to shout us a coffee, drop us a super thanks. And subscribe and share it around. I'm really enjoying putting these videos together and sharing my journey and sharing all the things I'm learning. Always trying to save $1 where I can, but also trying to do things properly as well. I'll catch you guys later, or I might even see you on the road one day. Alright guys, cheers. See ya. Bye.